ओम मोहोत्पलनभोमनये नमः। ओम भक्तज्ञानाब्धिशीतांशवे नमः। ओम भक्ताज्ञानतृणालयाय नमः। ओम भक्ताम्बोजसहस्रांशवे नमः। ओम भक्तकेकी घनाघनाय नमः। ओम भक्तकैरवराकेन्दवे नमः। ओम भक्तकोकदिवाकराय नमः। ओम गजाननादिसम्पूज्याय नमः। ओम गजचर्मोज्ज्वलाकृतये नमः। ओम गंगाधवलदिव्यांगाय नमः। ओम गंगापङ्किलसज्जटाय नमः। ओम गगनाम्बरसंवीताय नमः। ओम गगनामुक्तमूर्धजाय नमः। ओम वदनाब्जजिताब्जश्रिये नमः। ओम वदनेन्दुस्फुरिद्दिशाय नमः। ओम वरदानैकनिपुणाय नमः। ओम वरवीणोज्ज्वलत्कराय नमः। ओम वनवाससमुल्लासाय नमः। ओम वनवीरैकलोलुपाय नमः। ओम तेजःपुञ्जघनाकाराय नमः। ओम तेजसामपि भासकाय नमः। ओम विनेयानां तेजःप्रदाय नमः। ओम तेजोमय निजाश्रमाय नमः। ओम दमितानंग संग्रामाय नमः। ओम दरहासजितांगनाय नमः। ओम दयारससुधासिन्धवे नमः। ओम दरिद्रधनसेवदये नमः। ओम क्षीरेन्दुस्फटिकाकाराय नमः। ओम क्षीरेन्दुमुकुटोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ओम क्षीरोपहाररसिकाय नमः। ओम क्षिप्रैष्फल्यफलप्रदाय नमः। ऐश्वर्यफलप्रदाय। ओम नानाभरणमुग्धांगाय नमः। ओम नारी सम्मोहनाकृतये नमः। ओम नाद ब्रह्मरसास्वादिने नमः। ओम नागभूषणभूषिताय नमः। ओम मूर्तिनिन्दितकन्दर्पाय नमः। ओम मूर्तामूर्तजगद्वपुषे नमः।
ओम मूर्तामूर्तजगद्वपुषे नमः।
ओम मूलाज्ञानतमोभानवे नमः।
ओम मूलाज्ञानतमोभानवे नमः।
ओम मूर्तिमत्कल्पपादपाय नमः।
ओम मूर्तिमत्कल्पपादाय नमः।
ओम तरुणादित्यसङ्काशाय नमः।
ओम तरुणादित्यसङ्काशाय नमः।
ओम तन्त्रीवादनतत्पराय नमः।
ओम तन्त्रीवादनतत्पराय नमः।
ओम तरुमूलैकनिलयाय नमः।
ओम तरुमूलैकनिलयाय नमः।
ओम तप्तजाम्बूनदप्रभाय नमः।
ओम तत्त्वजाम्बूनदप्रभाय नमः।
ओम तत्त्वपुस्तोल्लसत्पाणये नमः।
ओम तत्त्वपुस्तोल्लसत्पाणये नमः।
ओम तपुनोडुपलोचनाय नमः।
ओम तपनोडुपलोचनाय नमः।
ओम यमसंनुतसत्कीर्तये नमः।
ओम यमसंनुतसत्कीर्तये नमः।
ओम यमसंयमसंयुताय नमः।
ओम यमसंयमसंयुताय नमः।
ओम यतिरूपधराय मौनिने नमः।
ओम यतिरूपधराय मौने नमः।
ओम यतीन्द्रोपास्य विग्रहाय नमः।
ओम यतीन्द्रोपास्य विग्रहाय नमः।
ओम मन्दारहाररुचिराय नमः।
ओम मन्दारहाररुचिराय नमः।
ओम मदनायुतसुन्दराय नमः।
ओम मदनायुतसुन्दराय नमः।
ओम मन्दस्मितलसत्वक्त्राय नमः।
ओम मन्दस्मितलसत्वक्त्राय नमः।
ओम मन्दस्मितलसत्वक्त्राय नमः।
ओम मन्दस्मितलसत्वक्त्राय नमः।
ओम मधुराधरपल्लवाय नमः।
ओम मधुराधरपल्लवाय नमः।
ओम मञ्जीरमञ्जुपादाब्जाय नमः।
ओम मञ्जीरमञ्जुपादाब्जाय नमः।
ओम मणिपट्टोल्लसत्कटये नमः।
ओम मणिपट्टोलसत्कटये नमः।
ओम हस्ताङ्कुरितचिन्मुद्राय नमः।
ओम हस्ताङ्कुरितचिन्मुद्राय नमः।
ओम हठयोगपरोत्तमाय नमः।
ओम हठयोगपरोत्तमाय नमः।
ओम हंसजप्याक्षमालाढ्याय नमः।
ओम हंसजप्याक्षमालाढ्याय नमः।
ओम हंसेद्वाराध्यपादुकाय नमः।
ओम हंसेद्वाराध्यपादुकाय नमः।
ओम मेरुशृङ्गतटोल्लासाय नमः।
ओम मेरुशृङ्गतटोल्लासाय नमः।
ओम मेघश्याममनोहराय नमः।
ओम मेघश्याममनोहराय नमः।
ओम मेधाङ्कुरालवालाग्र्याय नमः।
ओम मेधाङ्कुरालवालाय नमः।
ओम मेधापक्वफलद्रुमाय नमः।
ओम मेधापक्वफलद्रुमाय नमः।
ओम धार्मिकान्तर्गुहावासाय नमः।
ओम धार्मिकान्तर्गुहावासाय नमः।
ओम धर्ममार्गप्रवर्तकाय नमः।
ओम धर्ममार्गप्रवर्तकाय नमः।
ओम धामत्रयनिजारामाय नमः।
ओम धामत्रयनिजारामाय नमः।
ओम धर्मोत्तममनोरथाय नमः।
ओम धर्मोत्तममनोरथाय नमः।
ओम प्रबोधोद्गारदीपश्रिये नमः।
ओम प्रबोधोद्गारदीपश्रिये नमः।
ओम प्रकाशितजगत्त्रयाय नमः।
ओम प्रकाशितजगत्त्रयाय नमः।
ओम प्रज्ञाचन्द्रशिलाचन्द्राय नमः।
ओम प्रज्ञाचन्द्रशिलाचन्द्राय नमः।
ओम प्रज्ञामणिवराकराय नमः।
ओम प्रज्ञामणिवराकराय नमः।
ओम ज्ञानान्तरभासात्मने नमः।
ओम ज्ञानान्तरभासात्मने नमः।
ओम ज्ञातज्ञातिविदूरगाय नमः।
ओम ज्ञातज्ञातिविदूरगाय नमः।
ओम ज्ञानज्ञाद्वैतदिव्यांगाय नमः।
ओम ज्ञातज्ञातदिव्यांगाय नमः।
ओम ज्ञात व्यातृज्ञादिकुलागताय नमः
ॐ व्यातृज्ञानकुलागताय नमः
ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताग्र्याय नमः
ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताग्र्याय नमः
ॐ प्रणतार्थ्यक्तिवाडवाय नमः
ॐ प्रणतार्थ्यक्तिवाडजाय नमः
ॐ भूतानां प्रमाणभूताय नमः
ॐ भूतानां प्रमाणभूताय नमः
ॐ प्रपञ्चहितकारकाय नमः
ॐ प्रपञ्चहितकारकाय नमः
ॐ यत्तत्त्वमसि संवेद्याय नमः
ॐ यत्तत्त्वमसि संवेद्याय नमः
ॐ यक्षज्ञेयात्मवैभवाय नमः
ॐ यक्षज्ञेयात्मवैभवाय नमः
ॐ यज्ञादिदेवतामूर्तये नमः
ॐ यज्ञादिदेवतामूर्तये नमः
ॐ यजमानवपुर्धराय नमः
ॐ यजमानवपुर्धराय नमः
ॐ छत्राधिपतिविश्वेशाय नमः
ॐ छत्राधिपतिविश्वेशाय नमः
ॐ छत्रचामरसेविताय नमः
ॐ छत्रचामरसेविताय नमः
ॐ छन्दशास्त्रादिनिपुणाय नमः
ॐ छन्दशास्त्रादिनिपुणाय नमः
ॐ छलजात्यादिदूरगाय नमः
ॐ छलजात्यादिदूरगाय नमः
ॐ स्वाभाविकसुखैकात्मने नमः
ॐ स्वाभाविकसुखैकात्मने नमः
ॐ स्वानुभूतिरसोदधये नमः
ॐ स्वानुभूतिरसोदधये नमः
ॐ स्वाराज्यसम्पदध्यक्षाय नमः
ॐ स्वाराज्यसम्पदध्यक्षाय नमः
ॐ स्वात्माराममहामतये नमः
ॐ स्वात्माराममहामतये नमः
ॐ हाटकाभजटाजूटाय नमः
ॐ हाटकाभजटाजूटाय नमः
ॐ हासोदस्तारिमण्डलाय नमः
ॐ हासोदस्तारिमण्डलाय नमः
ॐ हालाहलोज्ज्वलगलाय नमः
ॐ हालाहलोज्ज्वलगलाय नमः
ॐ हार्दग्रन्थिविमोचकाय नमः
ॐ हार्दग्रन्थिविमोचकाय नमः
ॐ श्रीमेधादक्षिणामूर्तिस्वामिने नमः
ॐ श्रीमेधादक्षिणामूर्तिस्वामिने नमः
ॐ श्रीदयानन्दसद्गुरवे नमः
ॐ श्रीदयानन्दसद्गुरुवे नमः
ॐ श्रीमहेशानन्दसद्गुरवे नमः
ॐ श्रीमहेशानन्दसद्गुरुवे नमः
Okay, so we have some time to go over some of the verses as enunciated by Swami Tattvavidananda ji. Not quite sure which one we have covered. Does anybody have a record of that?
Yeah, number 8 we have to start.
We have to start with 8 or we have done 8?
Number 8.
We have to start with 8. Okay. Om Navachandra Shikhamanaye Namaha. So one thing to keep in mind here, that these verses contain both Saguna Brahma Upasana and Nirguna Brahma Upasana. So Swami Paramarthananda in his commentary on Ashtavakra Gita had said that upasanas are found both in the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas and the Jnana Kanda portion of the Vedas. So both are there. In the Karma Kanda Upasana, it is generally Saguna Brahma Upasana. Whereas in the Jnana Kanda Upasana, it is Nirguna Brahma Upasana. And in the Saguna Brahma Upasana, it is meant as a aid to understand the vision. So both karma and upasana, so karma is physical actions and upasana is mental actions. So both are actions. And as you know very well, that in the Vedantic vision, the karma and therefore upasana also is meant as a yoga. So the meaning of that is that the karma and upasana, as normally people do, so any actions that you do, whether you help yourself or someone else, is really meant for yourself as a person, as a karta, bhokta, ahankara, etc. So it is centered on, I'm just going into a little more detail about this, so it is centered on the human being and therefore its future, its success, its well-being, its kalyanam. That is meant for, that is what the karma and upasana by a person that has not been taught Vedanta is meant for. See, natural, this is what is called prakrita. Prakrita means natural, unschooled. It's kind of like, a piece of rock which has not yet been carved into a beautiful vigraha. So this is called natural stone. So the human beings, when we are born, we are natural stones because we have not yet been carved into the way we want to be as a beautiful person. Beautiful person means one who is free. That is the beauty about it. So anyway, for a prakrita person, which is really all of us as we begin, the karma and upasana, both the actions, dharmic actions hopefully, as well as the prayerful actions when we go to the temple and we pray, there our prayer is to make ourselves a little better. So when we go to the prayer, when we go to the temple for a prayer, what will you see? You can examine your mind. What are we going to pray for? May my health be better, may my family's health be better, etc., etc. This is what we would do. So this is the Saguna Brahma Upasana by a non-learned and ajnani. See, this is the beginning. And then we have the karma and upasana by jnani. So jnani here means, so this is interesting, we should see this. Jnani means one who has been well schooled in the Vedantic understanding. And Vedantic understanding means that you are not what you see yourself to be, you are something more than that. What you are seeing is just a reflection. You are Paramatma itself, not an ordinary thing. So this has to be done through a lot of shravanam, lot of mananam. At first this seems very, very impossible. How can that be? And then slowly it starts to at least make an impression in yourself, And so this is what is called a jnani. So now this knowledge is still not fruitful for me. I understand it to a certain degree, and I would say this is what is really good for our, our study and so on and so forth. But it is not as though I am walking as a Jivan Mukta yet. So now let us look at the karma and upasana for a jnani. So there the karma and upasana takes a new form. How? Let's take karma. And really upasana is simply a mental form of it. Karma means through our hands and legs and speech, etc. And upasana means through a more finer version of that, which is the mind. That's all the difference between karma and upasana are. But for a jnani, the karma and upasana takes on a new meaning. And this is what it is said in the entire Bhagavad Gita. It is not just karma, but karma as a yoga. Karma yoga. And you can even say upasana yoga. What does that really mean? What it means is that unlike an ajnani, for whom karma and upasana is an instrument for getting better as a karta and bhokta, as a ahankara, as a jiva. Because their whole idea of who they are is that I'm a jiva with problems. So the karma and upasana is all meant to reduce the problems and to make myself better. This is what it is. But for a jnani, it takes on a different meaning. For a jnani, the karma and upasana is a yoga. What does it mean? It means for a jnani, karma and upasana is an instrument for understanding and living by going beyond the jivatvam, beyond karta and bhokta, as the very essence of it, essence of truth. So the karma and upasana takes on a complete, so you see the difference. For an ajnani, a karma and upasana is to strengthen the ahankara. And for a jnani, karma and upasana is to diminish the ahankara. Opposite, just the opposite of it. Why? Because a jnani is much more ambitious. And getting better as a karta bhokta is a side benefit. It's a side benefit that comes automatically. But our sights are much higher than that. We want to, in fact, go beyond the fact that I am just a jiva. And so, but the same karma and the same upasana, which can be used for getting our kartritvam and bhoktritvam, our jivatvam better, can also be used to diminish the kartritvam and bhoktritvam. This has to be understood. So in that sense, so here also the Saguna Brahma Upasana is also relevant. How is it relevant? So because in both cases, the Upasana allows you to focus your mind on what you really want to do, to reduce the distractions. This is the meaning of really all upasanas, where you direct your mind towards Ishvara and you have a direct communication with Ishvara as though this, please help me to get to where I want to be. But the objectives are different. For an ajnani, the objective is just make me a little bit better. Maybe my next life a little bit better. For a jnani, the objective is make my present situation better. Not in the better in the sense that my mind is distracted by not understanding who I am. So both the Saguna Upasana, for both of them have a meaning towards the focus. So now we can do this in passing. In the case of a ajnani or in the karma kanda, an upasana would be called dhyanam or upasana. And in the case of the jnana kanda or for a jnani, it will be called nididhyasana. So nididhyasanam means something which I already know, but I get distracted from it. I don't have the ability to hold it in my mind. It is too big a job. Help me make sure that I strengthen my mind to understand what I should know, which has been clarified for me. It will become nididhyasana. So now going back to it, we have spent so much time that we don't have any time to go into these verses now. So here, at least we'll do one. So here, the 108 verses of Dakshinamurti have both Saguna Brahma Upasana as well as Nirguna Brahma Upasana. But both can be taken as nididhyasana for the jnani, not for the ajnani. How? So, for example, Navachandra Shikha Manaye Namaha. So there it helps to understand the classical traditional form of Shiva that has a new moon on the head. And Shiva, of course, has both, can have sun and the moon both. And as you know very well by now, that the sun and the moon represent Atma and Anatma respectively. How do we say that? So, because the sun symbolizes self-illumination, doesn't require any outside help. It is independently the source of light. Atma is similarly the independent source of consciousness. Whereas Anatma, represented by the moon, represented particularly by the mind, represents the after effect, a reflection of the sun. It is the fact that it is dependent. It doesn't have its own light. It depends on the sunlight, for it's the light that it emanates. And so Shiva has both of them, because the entire Srishti consists of both Atma and Anatma. And so it can be enjoyed both ways. So here, just like a moon, especially a new moon, is so delightful. All moons are delightful, but the new moon has a certain beauty about it, and it captivates me. And so this is a Saguna Upasana based on the form, the imagined form of Shiva. And so it's a good thing to do, to calm your mind down and hopefully serve as the first stage of Nirguna Upasana. So something like that. So here he says, Om Navachandra Shikha Manaye Namaha. Navascha Asau Chandrascha. Nava means new. Navascha Asau Chandrascha. So this is a samasa. Saha eva shikhayam manihi. So the one who is the jewel in the shikha. Shikha means the head. Saha eva shikhayam manihi yasya saha. The one that has a head which is adorned with a jewel, to that person my namaha, which is Shiva, which is nothing but Dakshinamurti. And so he has given the Sanskritam for it. Bhagavan Shivaha Vriddhi Klasa Rahitam Nitya Nutanam Chandrakalam Shirasi Dhatte Iti Upasana Shastre Prasiddham. Bhagavata Shirasi Chudamani Rupena Sthitaha Amrita Kirana Chandraha Swakiranaihi Atmanam Aplavayati Iti Upasakaha Manasi Bhavayet. Tena Upasakasya Manaha Prasannam Jnana Yogyam Cha Bhavati. So Manasa Adhishthana Devata Chandraha Khalu. So if you look at just the last two sentences, one is Manasaha Adhishthana Devata Chandraha Khalu. So the mind, which is the symbol of Anatma, the Adhishthana Devata for that is the Chandra, which is the symbol of Anatma. You see, that's the meaning of Manasaha Adhishthana Devata Chandraha Khalu. And then the second to the last sentence, which is the last one, is Tena upasakasya manaha prasannam jnana yogyam cha bhavati. That until you have a mind which is pleased, it is difficult to be focused on the knowledge of the self. And so this is something that is an important thing that we will keep in mind, which says that even though you need to get your mind away from Anatma, but you cannot get your mind away from Anatma unless you make it friendly to yourself. This is a very important concept that we will work on. So to have a good relationship with Anatma is important for you to focus on yourself. As a very simple example, if you have a bodily problems, if you have a pain in the body, you cannot do meditation. You cannot do meditation. And so similarly, when you're mentally upset with things around you, you cannot do meditation. And so a friendly relationship with Anatma, both your own mind, your own body, as well as the world around you, is an important aspect of making a requirement for self-study, for self-examination, and so on and so forth. Even though ultimately when you become very adept at that, then it doesn't matter. But for a time being it matters. And so you have to keep it at bay, both physical pain as well as mental issues and so on and so forth. Anyway, so okay, let's start. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Ukarastvandakaro Vai Ukarastvannivartakaha Andakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's chant verses, Karika verses 28, 29, 30 and 31. 4 verses. Number 28. Shrishtiriti Shrishtividaha Shrishtiriti Shrishtividaha Laya iti cha tadvidaha Laya iti cha tadvidaha Sthitiriti Sthitirvidaha
Sthitiriti Sthitirvidaha
Sarve chehatu sarvada
Sarve chehatu sarvada
Yam bhavam darshayet yasya
Yam bhavam darshayet yasya
Tam bhavam satupashyati
Tam bhavam satupashyati
Tam chavati sabhutvasau
Tam chavati sabhutvasau
Tadgraha samupaititam
Tadgraha samupaititam
Etairesho pritak bhavaihi
Etairesho pratbhavahi
Prithak geveti lakshitaha
Pratageveti lakshitaha
Evam yo veda tatvena
Evam yo veda tattvena
Kalpayet so vishankataha Kalpayet so vishankataha Kalpayet so vishankataha
Kalpayeso vishankataha
Swapnamaye yatha drishte
Swapnamaye yatha drishte
Gandharvanagaram yatha
Gandharvanagaram yatha
Tatha vishwamidam drishtam
Tatha vishwam idam drishnam
Vedanteshu vichakshanaihi
Vedanteshu vichakshanaihi.
So what we have been studying, just as a reference point, is that people believe in a number of different things in their lives. Okay, so for example, I just did the number 28 as the last one of the series. So there were so many of them that if you don't know exactly what it is, it appears differently to different people. So the example we took was that if the rope is not properly seen due to whatever causes, lack of light, some fear, whatever it is, a combination of things, then it creates uh, a false thing in the people's mind, and based on their own vasanas, their own ideas and so on, it appears differently to people. To some people it might appear to be just a hose. Other people it might appear to be a streak of water. Somebody may think of it as a live snake. Like that, you have different aspects. So similarly here also, a listing was given about the faith that people have, an understanding that people have about various things in life. So then it was up to the 28. So now the analysis of all this is starting with verse number 29. So there he says, Yam bhavam darshayet yasya tam bhavam satupashyati. So he says, let's analyze the process by which people believe in different things. So first of all, you follow someone, you follow something. Something appeals to you. Okay, that's given. It could be anything. It could be either, your cultural background, some religious introduction, or you're bent towards scientific inquiry. So, for example, if you want to understand the very how creation takes place, you may want to study particle physics, and so pretty soon you get involved in the analysis of particle physics, and it seems to make a lot of sense. And only in the end you say, we don't know. Where did you get everything that you wanted? No, not really, but I went quite far, and we are going further. We will do one day. So like that, you have a firm conviction in some form of belief. So this is what it is. So here in the verse number 29, this is all brought together by saying, that even though the start of your belief is done by certain people or certain introduction to concepts and your own mind, you may be religious, you may be scientific, doesn't matter. Whatever your background it is, this is how it starts. But then what happens is, what keeps you going, what keeps you be engaged in a very serious following of that is what is called tadgraha. So tadgraha means a firm conviction. In other words, shraddha. Shraddha. So shraddha means one which is, there is a certain mental discipline that keeps you in the pursuit of that direction. Okay, so this is the one. So here Swami Maheshananji pointed out that if you look at the common element of everything, it is really Shraddha. Shraddha is the one that gives you the results that you want. There's so many interesting examples he gave. He says in one day Ramana Maharshi was ill. He had some he didn't specify, he finally had cancer, as you know. But in this particular case, it appears it was not the illness of cancer. He was ill with something. And one day, when his disciples came, he was seen to be massaging his own feet, his legs. He was just massaging it. So people said, "Sir, why are you doing it? Let us do it." He says, "No, I want to do it." So they were all saying, "Sir, please don't do that. This is exertion on your part. We'll be glad to do that. Why are you doing it?" He says, "You know why I'm doing it?" He says, all of you have told me that by massaging my legs, your life has become very successful. So he says, I also wanted to try it. If it has become good for you, then why not for me also? My illness may also go. So this is an example that, really speaking, what gives you really the results is, of course, whatever you decide on, but it is the Shraddha. And as you know very well, sometimes you get feeling that there are rocks on the road that have become murtis, and you actually put kumkum on it and you don't allow anybody to deface it, no dirt should get on it. And what that happens is that your own Shraddha is the one that shapes your thinking and keeps you, and then you say, no, whatever happens, it'll be okay. This is my ma, this is my mother, and I want to do a prayer to it. Shraddha. This is what happens. And if there is a distraction from that Shraddha, then to that extent your mind will not really give you good results. So there was, Swamiji Maheshanji gives another example. So he says there was a Mandaleshwar, a Mahamandaleshwar, the one who has a lot of disciples and so on and so forth. So this Mahamandaleshwar always wanted to go to villages for bhiksha. He would carry about 10 people with him. They would all go together, some kind of a small town, and they live on bhiksha. They're complete sannyasis. They had already given up the right to cook and do on their own cooking and everything. It is all meant for bhiksha. So they went to this village. Swamiji says, this is reciting this, and they found that the village was not giving them anything. So they were very disappointed. Then they went to the next village, same thing happened. So now they are getting very hungry. So this leader of this 10 people said, I want to check on something. Do any of you have any money in your pocket? So they all searched and so on. And most of the people said, no sir, we don't have any money. One guy takes out a rupee note and says, sir, I have a rupee note. He says, that is the one that is keeping us away from getting bhiksha. So please throw that away, give it to someone. You know why? Because you are using it as a kind of like a protection. In case I don't get bhiksha, I'm going to just, buy something for a rupee. He says, that's it. And the last story he gave was that one time Vishnu was resting in Vaikuntha with Lakshmi ji. And so all of a sudden he saw there was a man who was crying out for his help because a tiger was approaching him. And so he immediately got up. He told Lakshmi that I'm going to go to the aid of this person because he needs me. Then he sat down. Lakshmi ji said, what happened? Weren't you going to go? He says, what happened was that he first cried out. He had his hands folded. He was saying, oh Vishnu, save me. It is gone. I'm gone. Then he saw that there was some delay in my coming, so he got hold of a rock. He got hold of a rock in order to throw it at the tiger. So I thought, if his Shraddha is towards the rock, he doesn't really need me. So this is the thing. The upshot of it is that what really gives you results is Shraddha. Okay, so this is the second step. First step is that you find something to put your Shraddha on. Secondly, you employ Shraddha. The third step is the most important for the Vedantic understanding. Who employs the Shraddha? You. So the results are not coming from someone else, but it is coming from you. The source of Shraddha, because Shraddha is a live thing, it is not an inert thing. You think it is an inert thing, but it is your own mind, and your own mind is nothing but an expression of yourself. So if you keep doing this analysis of all these various lists of things that we went through, what you find is that the common element of that is the Atma. But here's what happens. So now this would lead on to the very important verse number 30. First of all, he's just examining this. So he's giving a listing. As we saw, we started with the beginning of this whole analysis was on number 16. Remember that? We did last time. Jivam kalpayate purvam tato bhavan pritak vidhan bahyan adhyatmikans chaiva yatha vidyas tatha smriti. This is what we saw. We began the whole thing. Then it gave an idea of how people have different kinds of Shraddha and so on. And then the analysis of let us look at the essence of the Shraddha and the essence of the results. The results are given by your own Shraddha. And where does the Shraddha come from? Comes from the Atma itself. So now what happens is that because of the moha, confusion, it appears to come from outside. And a simple-minded modern example is eating ice cream. Eating ice cream. So if you analyze the process of your happiness, the source of your happiness, what is the locus of the happiness in the process of eating ice cream? What you will discover is that for a normal person, ice cream appears to be a source of happiness. You ask a nice 80-year-old person. We just had a visitor in our home who was, it's so funny, you get this scene gets repeated. So she was 3. She is 3. She just came yesterday. Somebody's child. And so we had invited them over. My wife had cooked lunch for everybody. And it's the usual stuff. The kids will not eat normal stuff. So somebody has to give them dal, roti, and that's nothing. Then comes ice cream. And she will not let go of that one. And she had cleaned it out with her tongue completely. And was asking for some more. So you ask this, where is your happiness? What is she going to say? It's from the ice cream. But ice cream has a taste. It does not have happiness. The happiness that you get from eating ice cream is your own. This is exactly the same situation. You think that you're going to the temple and Ishvara is now has blessed you. You feel so good. Because normally you are irritated about things, this, that, or the other, but the moment you go to a temple, you take your shoes off, and there is this nice vigraha, and and this same thing happens in churches, that it is beautiful, it's quiet, organ is playing. So you think that peace of mind is due to someone outside of you. But really it is your own peace of mind, which is reflected from it. We have to see this. This is the analysis of it. And so, in number 29, we can now summarize it. Yam bhavam darshayet yasya tam bhavam satu pashyati tam cha avati sa bhutva asau tad graha samupaititam. The English translation of is that one sees that thing as reality, which thing a teacher has already shown him. Some source has already shown him. Then having become one with it as a Shraddha, it gives the person some protection. This is what I believe in. And that Shraddha possesses him or her and keeps him from going in different directions. This is what happens. Now we come to verse number 30. So, the question is, the thing that you believe in, whatever thing that you have Shraddha in, is that thing reliable or not? It appears to be reliable, that's for a fact, no question about that, because that's what gives you the peace, the happiness, and so on and so forth. But is it real or not? This has to be examined. Because what you have to see is that it seems to be reliable for quite a bit of time. And the rest of it you project. You feel like, for example, supposing you go to a temple and you feel that you have faith in, Ganesha, let's say. So you feel that the Ganesha will protect me and will make my life better. And then you ask the person, what about next life? Is it forever? I think so. Whatever, if I do it in this life, whatever life I take, it will protect me there also. I think so. I'm not sure. So there's a lot of hope involved. There's a lot of uncertainty. That means it appears to be reliable, but you don't know. So here in the Vedantic teaching we say that hopes and projections are not very useful. It should be pramana. Pramana means there must be a good evidence for it. And simply hope is not a good evidence. We appreciate it, you be happy, we bless you, and so on and so forth, but you have to understand the reliability of what you're doing. So compared to that, it is very much like, you're going to, you're not sure about the... And so what happens is that whatever you believe in needs to be well proven. So pramana has to support it. So the example of the examination of the rope and snake is a good one. That you may walk away from it saying, oh, I think that was a snake and I don't want to go near it. And I want to believe in that. I don't want to listen to anyone. Whereas this is just a hope and some false ideas. But if someone were to show a flashlight on it and say, listen, you made a mistake, this is a simple rope. This is called pramana siddham. Pramana siddham. And so when that is shown, then the shraddha that you have becomes reliable. Until then, it is not as reliable as you think. And this has to be tied to the very basic topic that we are studying. It has to be kept in mind. So what do I mean by that? So what happens is that it is said by the acharyas that a dream does not become a silly till then you are affected by it. Only when you wake up, and you don't require a lot of effort to wake up. Don't require, this is the thing, because the dream also is kind of like made by yourself. It's very fluffy. It just goes by just blowing on it. Just the slightest thing can wake you up. But wake up you must. You cannot understand the silliness of it until you wake up. Similarly, here also the topic that we should see is that until I go through the process, the so-called waking up, the waking up takes a little bit more time. But when I do, the whole samsara disappears, becomes silly, becomes like a game. It is just nothing but a game of life. And until that happens, it does not appear as a dream. So that is the main topic that the Mandukya is let's not forget that. The end result of the study of Shastra is that one that I am taking very seriously is a game. It's a show. It's a tamasha in Hindi. It's a tamasha. And I gave you the example of this guy who had brought his uncle from the village about the soccer game. Remember, I think it was in this class, didn't I say that? It's exactly like that. You don't understand that this is a game, that even all the fights and injuries and upsets and all those kinds of things, it's very interesting. If I tell you, the study of games, sports is a very serious one. That whether India wins or Pakistan wins in cricket, or whether the Giants win or somebody else wins, all depends upon your viewpoint. It is a game. And the referees don't care. They get paid regardless of it. To them it is just a game. But for fans means fanatics. Fans means the short form of fanatics. Nobody wants to say I'm a fanatic, but I'll say I'm a fan. It sounds nice. So the fan has just put shraddha. You see this? This is a very beautiful thing to see. Through the shraddha, you have just said, this team is my team. It is good. And I want it to win. And people commit suicide when their teams lose. They lose their own lives. They think they are so upset. This is really a case in Mexico. I think when Mexico lost in the soccer game some time ago, people committed suicide. They had nothing to do with it, but they committed suicide.
So much in it.
Huh?
They probably bet so much on it.
They probably bet somebody, so possibly, yes, that's a possibility. So this is the thing. It is a game. And so waking up means the dream becomes kind of like, what the heck was that? Then you're, at that time you were laughing about it. Oh, then that person said to me and we had a big fight and this, that or the other. But you laugh about it. Similarly, this will happen, but only when you wake up. And when do you wake up? When you go through the pramana siddha. What is the evidence? And an evidence means that whatever you have shraddha on must be reliable, unchanging, and so on. So that's what it is now in number 30. This track is presented. Etaihi eshaha aprithak bhavaihi prithak eva iti lakshitaha yevam yo veda tattvena kalpayet saha avishankataha. So this means that this means viveka. This is the viveka, that the Atma, one who understands that the Atma, I, even though I appear to be involved with all these things, I am really not involved. Really not involved. And one who understands, so this is an example of who is telling me to have Shraddha. So one who is telling you that you are really not involved, even though you think you are, is the right person who is telling me this. This is the viveka. So it says, kalpayet here means one who teaches, who expounds, who tells me the Vedas. That is the one that I should really look into, because what it is said is that there are so many issues that I can follow, so many directions I can follow. But which should I really follow is the one who gives me the reality about myself, which is the viveka. In a very simple way, I think this is something that we should repeatedly think about. Repeatedly think about, really, honestly. Let's do a meditation on this. This would be good to... There's nothing new, but there is something new in the way we should do that. if I think about seeing my reflection in a mirror or any reflecting surface, it is obvious that what I am looking at as something which is seen is not me. It may look like me, but it is not me. But by looking at the reflection, I can deduce who I am. This is an important principle that we should keep in mind in our lives. Meaning, whatever I see is my reflection. It is not I. I see the table. I see people. I see my own body. I see the thoughts in my mind. These are all seen the principle remains the same. Whatever you see is not you. It may look like you, but it is not you. Whatever I see cannot be me. I see a dream. And the dream includes a dreamer me. And I see the dreamer me as I see the dreamt me. Both of them are not I. The dreamer me may look like me. The thoughts of the dreamer, the attitudes of the dreamer, even the look of the dreamer may look like me, but being seen it cannot pass the test. That is the principle. Whatever is seen you can enjoy it, you can experience it, but that's not who you are. On the other hand, the Shastric teaching, Vedanta, the Shastra, the Shruti, is the true mirror that shows who I am. The teaching reflected in a prepared mind is the closest it comes to describing who I am. Satchit Swarupaha. At this moment, I am connected to my reflection. If my body and mind are functioning well, then I'm happy. If not, I am not. In the verse 30 it says that the one who teaches you that you are completely separate from the reflection. You are on a higher plane. Just like the reality of the reflection is a lower level of reality. That teaching alone shows the reliable me, not what I tend to believe in. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So that is the meaning of this verse, number 29. And this is then clarified by the succeeding verses. Swapna maye yatha drishte gandharvanagaram yatha tatha vishwamidam drishtam vedanteshu vichakshanaihi. That very much like, so really the basic principle is that whatever you see, whether it is swapna or dream, or it is Jagrata Avastha, doesn't matter. There are some differences, but not material differences, not the one that matters. They are all drishya. And the drik is totally different from the drishya. So that is where one should have the shraddha in. You see? Because what gives you results is shraddha. But the shraddha in anatma will give you temporary results. It will give you, in the beginning, yes, you need to have shraddha until it is clear. You need to have shraddha. But even where you should have your shraddha should be considered. So, in the example of the ice cream, if your shraddha is towards the experience of ice cream, then you are going to get a lot of ice cream and store it in your refrigerator, in your freezer. Because any time you're unhappy, you're going to take it out and have some more ice cream. It's not a good recipe. It should be seen to be something which evokes your own happiness. And you need to think about, where does my happiness come from? My peace comes from. And so that is really what is necessary. The source of the shraddha is important. Anyways, this will be then elaborated further in the remaining verses of this, that having examined all the other possibilities, you go back to the possibility of the one which has been clearly enunciated with examples, with your own experience, and so on. And that is the basic principle. You should feel that anything that I see has some reality. This is the mithya. It has some reality. You cannot say, this is a very basic dialogue we have and difference we have with Buddhism. Buddhism says that the outside world has no reality. We think this is the wrong way to look at it. It has some reality. In fact, the message of Vedanta is that, of course, from a transactional, from a vyavahara standpoint, it has reality. But it has a lower reality than what you have. A dream has a lower level of reality than the waker's reality. And the waker's reality is lower than your own Atma's reality. This you have to investigate. So that is the trend of these verses by Karikakara, and very important in Mandukya Karika is an important way to look at things and clarify it and so on. So we'll continue with that, but that is the trend, that's the method that is being employed in these karikas. So with that I will say a prayer and then close and then ask for any questions that you may have. Om Swasti Prajabhyav Paripalayam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Parjanya Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yam Shobharahita Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om.
So two questions. One is that when you say that Swapna has a lower level of reality than the waking state, I thought Mithya was Mithya. Why should there be a higher Mithya and a lower Mithya?
No, it is true, but then what happens is that what you say is true, but on the other hand, the level of reality, there really are three levels of reality. So one is called Paramarthika Satyam, one is Vyavaharika Satyam, and the other one is Pratibhasika Satyam.
Right.
Pratibhasika Satyam has a lower level of reality than the Vyavaharika Satyam. And the Vyavaharika Satyam has a lower level of reality than Paramarthika Satyam. So in terms of, so what is the difference between Vyavaharika Satyam and Pratibhasika Satyam? Pratibhasika Satyam means something that only you feel.
Subjective.
Highly subjective. Everything is subjective in that sense, but at least compared to the objectivity, like now, are we having a class? Yes. We are having a class. So this is Vyavaharika Sat. But if you have a feeling that, this is a waste of my time, let's say. This is not a good class. I should be doing something else. That is a pratibhasika satyam. No one else feels that. Only you feel that. Similarly, a dream is your dream. You see? And no one else feels that. So in that sense, yeah.
My second question is, when we're talking about Dakshinamurti and Shiva, how did these vigrahas come about? I mean, in whose somebody's imagination, somebody's creativity, were they? How?
Yeah, I'm not. So the answer is how did all the murtis and vigrahas come about in the annals of Vedanta and so on? Not sure that I don't know. I can have some theories of my own that I can tell you. And that is that implicit in the Vedas is also some imaginations of vigrahas. That's also part of it, Shiva and so on. In the Purva Bhaga, it is there already. And the Vedas are perennial, so they never really die. So some parts of that would be perennial. On top of that, you also have the ability to visualize it the way you want to. You can just have, and because all forms are Ishvara's form, we don't look down upon anything, so it doesn't really matter. So in that sense, it could be in apaurushaya and paurushaya. Human generated and non-human generated, both are there. I mean, that's the way I would look at it, but I have not really studied that much. Yes, Kalpana?
So, looking at the Vishnu example, how the guy wants to throw the rocket at Tiger. When we have situations in life, if we look at the Vedantic way, the higher level of reality, we know that this is just a play, a tamasha. I'm just a role, playing a role. I'm unaffected by it, and so I should not manipulate anything. That's what I know, that's what I have shraddha in. But from the Vyavaharik level, it feels like I should do something to change the situation.
Yeah. So there, that's a good question. So in the discussion with Swami Paramarthananda in the Ashtavakra Gita also, he makes that distinction very well. So what he says is that there is a certain duty towards vyavahara that we should have, and that duty is to be performed, and the reason you can distinguish the duty from your own ideas is whether it creates anxiety in you or not. So you should have a certain level of commitment and contribution towards your family and so on and so forth. But then even that eventually has to go away, because you should have a level of commitment to anyone, not just to your own family. And to the extent that your family is creating an anxiety on you, that is attachment, not love. There is a distinction between love and attachment. So love means your contribution to help. And so there is a small distinction between others' children and others' grandchildren and your grandchildren. There is a difference, because God has entrusted you to be close to a certain number of people. So you cannot be disregarding of them and be helping a neighbor's child. That's not right either, because your karmas have allowed you to take help of them. But your distinction between love and attachment should be clear. Whatever you can do to contribute towards their good health and taking care of them and so on is good. But if it starts to create unnecessary anxiety in your mind, then you should now go into a examination of who you are and so on and so forth. So that is the distinction between them, Vyavaharika Satta and Paramarthika Satta. And so what it means is that if your answers are not coming forth in terms of the teaching, that means you haven't studied enough. But if they are, then you let Ishvara take care of everybody. You're not personally, you do whatever you can, but don't be anxious that I have to protect my family. Then it is getting to be too much. Something like that. We can discuss this more. That's an important, yeah.
So in Karika 20 to 28, we saw different beliefs.
Yeah.
How, in context to Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, whosoever pray me, whatever way, I will, yatha mam prapadyate, something like that. So what's the context? How can we understand, or is it similar?
Yeah, so what they said is that, so again there is, you can say, a Vedantic standpoint and a non-Vedantic standpoint. So this would be Shraddha towards the Ishvara as an Atma and Ishvara as an Anatma. So in both standpoint, whatever Shraddha you have, you will get the appropriate results for it. So there is one thing. But finally, from a Vedantic standpoint, then if you have Shraddha towards Ishvara, which is really yourself, then really speaking, you have sameness towards everything. You don't have to worry about whether it is good or bad or anything like this. It'll be good for you regardless of that. So the same Shraddha is talked about in the Bhagavad Gita from both standpoints, but generally from a Vedantic standpoint, because Bhagavad Gita, of course, is the essence of Vedanta. So there it says that, really speaking, see this as my Srishti alone. And so whatever you believe in will ultimately come to me alone. So it's not different from it. So something like this, it requires more discussion. But so I had sent an email to some of you, but not all, that Swami Viditatmananda and I had a lot of discussions about his continued visits to the area, and he has concluded that it is time to wind up coming to the West Coast. So I think from now on we cannot expect him to be here, and if we want to see him, we'll have to go to the ashram, and he will be there. He's having some health problems, and besides that, he also feels that he has done enough, and that he's happy with our own classes and teachings, and he says that should continue on. And so I'll send out a general email to all the Arsha Vidya people, but I just want to let you know that.
I'm so sad.
Sorry?
I'm so sad.
Yeah, I know. It's a big...
When we, in general public also, because we've been advertising, right? Now, that's going to, what kind of message,
No, I think that
is
we will manage
perceived.
it by, we can, for example, send out an ad in India West which will thank him for,
Correct.
and we know that how, something like that, we'll have a closure, a proper closure from a public standpoint also.
but can we turn into your classes interest?
I don't know, whatever happens,
No, but I mean, if we can.
it's not as though people were not coming to my classes because they were only listening, that's not gonna
True,
happen.
true.
Whoever doesn't want to come to my class, they'll continue
They
not
will
to come
do
to my
that,
class,
yes,
so.
I just thought.
It's a natural evolution because,
But if we know that Swami, you mentioned a little bit that Swami Paramathananda ji might,
Paramatma.
Paramathananda ji
Paramatma.
might.
no, that is going on, I mean,
That's going on, but will he take the June spot now?
No.
well, that we have to see,
no.
but no, because he'll only be for there for the April,
No, not even in April now.
not even in April.
He's committed to come now in September. So, but then the final dates, I will have it.
He won't be coming in April at all, okay.
This September?
No, not
Next
this September
year.
he's coming, but he's not coming for, because he already had in April. But from next year, he's telling me that it will be a September.
In September, okay.
More likely his calendar is,
So I
because
think we,
he wants to come a little bit longer.
yeah,
To have more,
Good.
Depth to it. So I said, we are open to do whatever
Yeah.
your schedule permits.
So September,
Seva event,
we all
is that-
spoke, usually have the aim
Yeah.
for Seva event
That's
as well,
another
so we
thing.
have to manage that.
yeah, the Kalpana was just saying it, so yeah, we have to think about all of that, and so, yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure a lot
after
will.
dialogues, I will find out more.
Yeah.
If it's coincides with our event.
Yeah, something
or
will
this or
happen, I
that,
think
you know.
that
It'll all work out, it'll all
it'll work out,
Yeah.
then Swamini will also be helpful, and then I may even have a retreat over the weekend perhaps. That might be good to do, so we'll see how that goes. It'll work out.